I'm now going to take you from what we call a voice system to what I like to refer to as a voice solution. So how you can add additional value, additional capabilities to the Teams voice system with Operator Connect to enhance the capabilities. What we're going to look at is something called Service Suite, which incorporates a lot of different features. We've already referred to the Microsoft licensing that some of you already have, and if you wish to go down this route, may need to upgrade. Things like hardware. So we all think of Teams as this desktop application that we use on our laptops, on our desktops. Actually, Teams can be used on a mobile app, but actually we can provide, hardware. So you can use handsets, Yearling, Polycom devices that you can ultimately use and call, type the buttons, slam down when you finish the call. You can absolutely do that on the Teams system. We're going to go through reporting, call analytics, the different capabilities available to bolster that Teams voice proposition. The one that I'm going to show you first is the one that I mentioned before, the disaster recovery platform that gives you that business continuity. You do get some level of reporting in here, and you also get this top left divert when network error. And that's the place where if your Teams was down, it would redivert your call and you'd still give your customer good customer experience. I won't go too much into that area, but that is something that CSG will be able to support you with and provide you with to ensure ultimately the optimal customer experience in all scenarios. Pardon. So what I'm going to talk you through now is the hardware element. So ultimately, as I just mentioned, we can ultimately take Teams from being that laptop, that desktop solution, to ultimately being multi-device. You can use up to 5 devices, so you can really play around with whether you're using one of the Teams phones, those handsets, whether you're using the mobile app, etc. So you've got that absolute flexibility, and that flexibility is not just for the whole business. That is every single individual user can ultimately decide what works best for them. So you might have someone who likes using a handset, but then you might have someone who hates using a handset. So you can absolutely be flexible, whether it's a headset, handset, etc. Around that. Call analytics for Teams. So one thing I didn't show you in the demonstration, which is embedded into the Teams Admin Center, there is some level of reporting that you can obtain that gives you detail of call duration, what calls have been made, what number was presented, who they called, etc. Ingoing, outgoing. You can get all of the data, put it into Excel, put it into Power BI. You can absolutely do that. What I'm going to show you here is how you can get a more bespoke reporting system that you can overlay onto Teams. Just in a nutshell, just to give you some ideas of what it can do, is it can give you detail on ultimately users. So how many users have made calls, how many answered, unanswered, abandoned, how many calls have been transferring. So is Ricky just receiving all the calls and transferring them to Eve to answer? You can start to see, I guess, individual user performance. All of these wallboards are customizable. So you could build a report for the sales team, the accounts team, the, I don't know, the cleaning team, whatever it may be. You can absolutely build customizable reports, and the guys at CSG can help that. You can build reports on different call queues. So your auto attendant, you press 1 for this, press 2 for that. You can build a report on that. You can build a report on your sales call queue. So you can really be flexible, and you can start to see like average answer time. So if you're looking at a certain team that it's taken, I don't know, 7-8 minutes to answer, then possibly we may need more staff. Possibly we may need to reduce the workload or share workload with other teams. So that's where you can start to get that insight as a business. The top right one is an interesting one. That's what we call the dashboard. So you can ultimately customize dashboards of what is presented, and these can all be presented in a live environment that you can view and see the call performance of groups. So this is something you can overlay as a bolt-on to enhance the reporting capability of your Teams suite, if you wish to do so. Call recording. Some of you in the call recording, depending on the industries and business that you are, you may have call recording for compliance, for mandatory reading, regulation, etc. Some of you may use call recording for dispute resolution. Some of you may use it for for monitoring or even training new starters. So call recording can be used in many different means. This call recording that we're going to talk about is compliant call recording. It's Microsoft certified, like the Operator Connect service, so it's ensuring everything is certified end to end. Ultimately, the call recording we offer is in different flavors, but just to give you an insight of what it looks like, there is an app in the Teams environment that could give you kind of that manual pause and resume capability, so you can pause call recordings. Again, you don't have to have that turned on. So if you don't want to give the capability of pausing and resuming call recordings, you can turn that off. But ultimately, it can record all forms of calls. So it can do your internal Teams to Teams calls. It can do your external Teams calls. And it can also do your Teams meetings. So it can, whatever way you're collaborating on Teams, it can record those calls if you wish. Again, this is where you've got that flexibility. The whole system is customizable. You can choose what bits work for your business, what bits you want turned on, what bits you don't. And CSG will work with you to help deliver that and provide the solution that's right for you. Stored in the UK, etc. You can ultimately retrieve call recordings nice and easily via a desktop platform. What I will say here with that, the retrieval of the call recordings, the call recording platform is superb in terms of retrieving. You can retrieve calls based on date, time, number called, the user. So the user all pulled from your Teams environment, so those names in Teams. You've got so many capabilities of retrieving those call recordings, and that's where we've seen the real improvements, and some of the feedback we've had is that the retrieval of call recordings is much more straightforward than their existing solutions. So again, this platform, as a bolt-on, we can absolutely demonstrate this if call recording is something that you use today, or possibly something that you may think may be useful in the future, and we can share the different packages that we can offer depending on what you need. The bit on the bottom left is slightly different. So the call recording can be analyzed. So in the Dubber Premier license, so the top call recording license, you can get things like, well, it's bridging that AI gap, and it's getting things like transcription, sentiment, tone analysis. So you can start to understand, whether the call started on a negative and then ended in a positive. So you can start to understand, I guess, your staff's interaction with your customers, how that performance is going, whether they, customers are leaving happier than when they called in. So it's really clever stuff. I'll be honest, I would show it on this webinar, but you'd be on for another hour, because ultimately it's such a feature-rich solution if you're looking at the top end AI stuff. So again, I always encourage, if you want more, please do reach out to the guys at CSG, and they can absolutely demonstrate this end to end.